Blackson in the hizzle, or shizzle dizzle. I got a very, very interesting show today. I want to introduce my guest to my right. We got Brother Art in the hizzle for shizzle dizzle.
How you doing, Blackson?
How you doing, man?
I'm great.
Yeah, tell the folks what you do real quick.
I'm a bullying and game prevention expert, life skills coach. Work with a variety of different organizations around different counties, particularly in the Atlanta area. Travel the country, working with different organizations. I'm an author of a book called Traumatic Memoirs, Gangster to Be or Not to Be, Book 1.
Okay.
The list goes on and on.
That's what's up.
That's my focus is working with young at-risk youth.
Okay. And to his right, we got Brother Dave Wiseman.
That's it. What's up, brother son?
What's going on, Dave, man?
Hey,
Man.
Black son is outside.
I'm just hanging in there, bro.
All right.
And to his right, we got Gidon Ben Israel.
Praise the Most High, Black Son, for you and for what you do, my brother.
Can I say you are the king of the Hebrew Israelites?
No, I'm a servant.
King of the Hebrew Israelites.
Just a servant, my brother.
Man, I only allow kings on here.
How did I get in? Security must have been missing.
All right. Today's topic, smallpox with blankets. Now, for those that know American history, I think it was Colonel Amherst who was the one in the British Army. I think it was the French Indo-Indian Wars back in the 1800s. Anyway.
1837.
1837 to be exact. Thank you, Dave. And one of the strategies of war was to give them blankets with smallpox. Now, mind you, they couldn't see the smallpox. And so one may ask, well, where are you going with this, Black son? Well, in modern day times, it's 2013 now? Right after 2012, the great, the spookism, tribulation, that was supposed to be the end of the world. But basically, bottom line is what I'm saying is that we have the legalization of marijuana, only in some states, still illegal in other states. Okay, so, some people might see that as a good thing. I'm sure you had Native Americans like myself saying, don't take those blankets. Do not take those blankets. But, you had other Native Americans, oh, it's natural, we're cold, Black son, what you're talking about. So I'm saying that basically the weed is the pipeline to the prison. I'm not here to argue about if it's of the earth, heaven above, it's the holy herb, and I'm not here to argue that. What I'm saying is that it is the pipeline to the prison. Just look at your Rockefeller laws. 89% of black males, black females, the recidivism rate of people going to prison when they get out, when they get probation or parole, the high percentage of that 86%, which is 86%, are locked up again because of dirty urine. THC, not methamphetamines, not cocaine, not heroin, not smack, none of that. Marijuana. So, all right, my question is the weed addictive?
Yes, it is. When you look at what something is considered addictive, what is an addiction? An addiction is a compulsive need for something.
Okay.
Particularly a substance that you feel like you can't adjust or deal without. When you start looking at addictions, you start looking at what are the symptoms of addictions?
Okay.
Withdrawals and other things that follow along with that. So, me being a former weed head or a person that used marijuana frequently, when I transitioned through my life, particularly when I was a young man and I was involved in gangs and eventually went to prison.
Okay.
And you even used it in prison, in the prison environment.
That's right, yeah.
Then even came out and used it again when I first was released from prison. And I had to look at it, what it did for me, and how it affected me in the workplace.
Okay.
How it affected me financially. you know, and how it affected my family.
Okay.
So, and again, I'm like you, I'm not trying to justify the people or put up an argument about, it's natural, because realistically, when you look at what a drug is, any substance that you put in the body other than food that affects the body in some type of way is a drug.
What do you mean? Tell me I don't need the weed. I don't have to get up in the morning, smoke, and got to go to the bathroom, smoke, take a shower, and smoke, and go to sleep and smoke. I don't have to do that.
If you feel like that's a need, there's something that you have to do,
Right.
then that's an addiction. Because now this is dictating your day-to-day action, and it's affecting you in some type of way. So I said anything other than food, any substance other than food that you put in your body that affects your body is considered a drug.
Dave.
It'll cause you to eat. Give you the munchies.
I mean, it can cause you the munchies, but it can also cause you to keep that recidivism rate going. It can also keep that prison guaranteed population growing too.
Yeah, that's true. We had that in, actually I was looking at some studies. In 2011, there was 750,000 people that went to jail over marijuana. Either you were selling it or you were using it. 2012, those numbers went up to 896,000, either selling it or using it. So I think we had, how many states had legalization of marijuana this election? It was
A handful.
a handful, and I know that there are 9 scheduled to be on the ballots. California is one state, and what's the other one? New York and a few others.
But I mean, Dave, do you find it coincidental that they're growing prisons and then they're just suddenly legalizing marijuana? I mean, the recidivism rate, the numbers are there, 86% return rate. So I mean, legalize it. Why not legalize it across the board? Number one, and why not federal government legalize it? I mean, I think there's a trap going on here.
Well, there's always a trap. Anytime someone puts out something, there's usually a shock test. You start out with a little and you see, it's just like lab rats. Let's see what they do.
Okay.
Let's see how, what type of numbers that we can get to this certain type of, whatever the goal is or whatever their agenda is, to have the people to follow through, get themselves caught up. So America's pretty much known for doing things of like that nature, and the media supports that.
Okay.
So by the media supporting that and by people getting caught up into something like this, and we've seen it for so much and for so long, anytime that something is dictated and it has to be voted on, it's always a scheme behind the scheme. You just have to step back and look at the scheme and understand where is it going to go.
Much like the smallpox and the
Exactly.
blanket. Gideon, you a natural brother. I know we talk about growing our food and tilling of the land and just being one with Yah, and the Bible say we will, but the reality is the largest grower of marijuana, not only in the U.S., but the Americas, that including Canada and Mexico, is Monsanto. Long before they were testing genetic experiments on corn and seedless watermelon, seedless grapes, and cloning calves and sheep, they were making experiments on marijuana. So if you don't organically grow it yourself, then, people say that the white man's a devil, but then you're smoking this devil weed. Can you explain that to me, the mentality behind that?
Well, first of all, you're exactly right in using the analogy of the smallpox blanket and the potential for malfeasance when it comes to the use of Mary Jane, the devil weed, whatever you want to call it. Because in the 70s, there was paraquat that was sprayed upon it.
That's right.
That hurt a lot of people.
During the Bush administration, yes.
Absolutely. But I have to disagree respectfully with my brother to say it's addictive. Maybe for the weak mind.
86% though of males.
Well, it's an altered
Recidivism
state.
rate.
It's an altered
Black men and women.
Well, I have used myself on a regular basis in times past. It's one of these times now. Economics doesn't allow me to use it.
Okay, well,
as I once did.
you know what? I'm gonna play fair. Let's just say, you know, we all not on probation, we're not on parole, we're not in prison. But when you're in prison, coming out of jail, you're on probation, parole. I had a officer tell me, all you gotta do is just don't smoke weed, and you can glide right through it. Because she said that with such confidence because it's there in paper, it's there in writing. Whether you be black, white, Hispanic, the thing is if you're gonna smoke weed, we got you.
Well,
It's guaranteed.
The thing that Dave said is true. Is there a trap? See, there's a difference between legalization and decriminalization.
Break it
There
down.
you go.
The decriminalization of the marijuana would be where you could actually grow it in your own yard. There is no penalties associated with the uses of it. Legalization is simply companies like Monsanto and other corporate entities
Walmart.
that then Walmart can then begin to sell it, but they can still have traps down the line to keep those of us who are naturalists.
Let me just paint a picture for you.
Go ahead and paint it.
Monsanto, Walmart,
Yes.
let's just use those two major corporations. Okay? They're involved in the prison, and they want to get involved in the marijuana too.
Absolutely. Well, they're trying to bring the budget of America. They say, look at the money that's being spent that we can't get our hands on because it's part of.
I mean,
the
but
money.
you don't see the clear picture?
Absolutely.
They own prisons, and then they're going to plant marijuana.
Yes.
One hand feeds the other.
Absolutely.
I'm going to get this man hooked, and I'm guaranteed I'm going to bring him right back to prison for free labor, and it's a vicious cycle.
And not only that, they're going to make the rappers sing
Promote
about
it,
it
right.
and promote it and keep
That's
it involved, keep our children hyped because it's part of the culture of rebellion of our youth. I was there.
Right.
I am there to a certain extent. And what they use it is it's an altered state so
Right.
that they can, in a sense, fight against the system in a very passive way.
Art. Before the Rockefeller laws, you know, you had people going to prison, jail, you know, for basic crimes. You didn't have this overflow of prisoners, which is caused by the Rockefeller laws, which started in New York and then other states adapted it. And so now we have people of all ages. I think I heard Mamiya talk about you have boys from 15 years old all the way up to 83 years old in the prisons.
13.
13. Man.
And I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go on, no,
but
go ahead.
See, what a lot of people don't understand is that the prison industry
Right.
is probably the biggest
It is.
profit industry in the world. Well, I'm saying United States prison system.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, I know at least 2 years ago, it was recorded that it generated over $500 billion. 500 billion. And I'm just gonna give you some stats about Georgia. I can't really speak on the whole
Let's break it down.
country as a whole, but just Georgia. I know in 2010, and you know, statistics are usually a year, I'll say 2 years behind.
Okay.
When it's actually recorded, when you talk about statistics like that. But I know Georgia had the 4th highest prison population in this country.
Dang.
In 1985, it cost $28,000 to house an inmate in this state.
Okay.
Now it costs $61,000 to house an inmate in this state.
Right.
It has some odd 60,000 inmates in this state. And when you look at the recidivism and the return of these people that's going back in the system, because I'm reminding you that I still communicate with a lot of people
That's right.
from that environment, and I actually try to help guys that I knew get on their feet when they come out.
Right.
You know, I was released in April 18, 2005. I did 11 and a half years.
Okay.
From October 1993 to April 2005.
Okay.
What I seen in this environment and how Georgia Department of Corrections profited off of it. They have a side company called the Georgia Department of Industries,
Oh, wow.
which they sell vegetables
Right.
from uncountable miles of land that they own.
Okay.
They have a meat plant in Middle Georgia where they cut, package, and sell pork, beef, and chicken. They make furniture, they make clothes, all your stop signs, yield signs.
That's right.
Inmates make those.
Right.
A lot of these parking stickers that you see in a lot of these colleges, Georgia Tech, Georgia's
Right.
University of Georgia, they're made by inmates in silk screening plants. I ain't telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know.
That's right.
You got inmates that do mobile construction, meaning they can build a building from the ground up. When you look at who's getting those contracts, it's the county
That's right.
and the cities.
Yeah.
Free labor
That's right.
from inmates. They get a $25 check once they leave that environment.
Yep.
So, with that being said, I mean, the bigger thing is, like you said earlier, a lot of these corporations have invested
That's
in
right.
the prison industry because they know it's a profitable business. They know, I mean, it's on the stock market. The CCA, when you look at the CCA on the stock market, that's the Corrections of Corporate America.
Hey, Dave.
I'm just stunned just to hear the.
I know you're not stunned, Dave.
No,
Come
I'm
on.
just stunned because I'm breaking down the numbers because my brother just spoke about 61,000. I think you said
$61,000 a year.
to hold one inmate. So if you think about 61,000, if that's in the state of Georgia, just imagine
The country.
your return on investment just on that one inmate.
Oh, so we got.
So if you're doing 61,000 and it's let's say that if a corporation is going to stay above the water, it's always a 3-to-1. So you're paying. That means the corporation is getting 183,000 above this 61,000 that's inmate. But we know it's getting more because it's free labor.
So Dave, how do we get these young black males and females in the system? Because we're building these prisons, and we need a surefire way to get them in that system. So where do we start?
What you saying? Get in the system?
Get them in the system, yes.
Meaning when them getting caught up?
How do we get them caught up?
Well, we getting caught up is by not getting the right type of information.
Okay.
And when you don't have the right type of information, it tends to do, you follow a pattern and do exactly what things are pretty much that folks go. Only way that usually that if you're going to get away from a system and rebuke a system, you have to just revolutionize. Anytime you revolutionize against anything, you're saying no to a system.
So
we
should we-
revolutionize in our own home.
So
if a
should-
wife tells you there's something I need you to do, and if it comes against your principles, you're going to say no. You revolutionize at that time in your home. Same thing that you would do as stepping out in society.
Okay.
Instead of just going, see the thing about this, we have got caught up so much now of what is given to us and we take it and we congregate.
Wait, hold on a minute.
We take it, we congregate and we try to figure out how we're going to plan and how we're going to get through. Abandon that what they throw to you and create your own system.
So you mean
Don't take what they
throw
give
away
you.
the weed? I mean, they're giving us weed. We wanted to smoke for a long time here, Dave.
They giving you weed, brother.
I mean, they giving us away
Hey,
tobacco, you know what I
hey,
mean?
Hey.
I mean, it's natural.
Well, it's been said it's natural, but
It's
what,
from the earth.
here we go again. If that is what is natural, why am I being penalized? Why am I being penalized? So are you going to penalize me for drinking water? It's natural. Are you going to penalize me for breathing air? It's natural.
Wait, Art just broke down the elements. I mean, we need water.
Exactly.
And we need air.
But there again, a power structure can come in and say, you know what? This water is a drug. What you gonna do about that? There was a situation over there in Brazil where the people didn't have water. When it started watering in the land of Brazil, they were actually catching the water with leaves. Do you know the government came in and charged them and put them in jail? And they said that water is ours.
Wow, you hearing it here? You're hearing it here, folks. Get in.
Well, they did the same thing in South Carolina and down there in Hilton Head. That our people own those lands that now resorts sit on. And the way they did it, they went in and said the water was poisoned. And when they drove the people off the land, then they came back and said, well, we purified the water. Right now,
Can we compare the weed to water, though?
No.
well, it's just,
Right. I see.
Oh,
It's itching.
man, you can't compare the weed to water, but what I'm saying is
Because I think that's an extreme, man.
well, if I'm in control, and I have been in control for many, many years, I can set the agenda to what I want to do. You're either going to have to bounce to that or you're going to have to do something to come against that. One of the two.
Well, and see, this is the thing, Dal. When you look at marijuana and its use for white supremacy to oppress and already suppress, depress people, people are trying to come out of the realities of their circumstances any way they can.
Escapism.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay, so it's a drug. You just prove Art's point. It's a drug.
I'm not disagreeing with Art in the sense that it is a
What
drug, the
David is saying
delta-9
is
THC that causes the altered states that we call the high. But in reality, when you look at America's history, most of a lot of their earlier documents that are right now in the halls of Congress, in their libraries, was written on hemp paper.
Okay,
Hemp-
so Gideon,
Yes, sir.
we're making these prisons. This is between you and me.
Yes, sir.
So what's a surefire way to get these young youths? Give them some weed.
Give them weed, give them
Make 'em believe
music
it's
that
natural and-
promotes the illicit behavior.
Okay.
Put the strip clubs in, make the young ladies dance and do all these things. Now, they do the same thing with tobacco. They do the
but
same
tobacco,
thing with
you're
our
not gonna
food.
get piss tested on no tobacco.
Mm-hmm. No, it's just going to kill you outright.
I mean, right, but we're talking about prison, though. We're talking about the gateway. We're talking about the smallpox with the blankets.
That's you're
Because,
exactly right.
like I said, red flag went up when you only legalized in 5 states. So I got my medical marijuana card in California, then I come to Georgia. You know what I'm saying? It puts you in a relaxed state of mind. Like, I think
Like the bill, the gas, the water, the electric, my wife hollering in my ear, babies that I can't feed. Let me go get high. At least that makes me feel better. It doesn't
that's what
take
they
away the
guarantee.
circumstances, but it does give you an alternative to the reality that you can't control. White supremacy and its effects will drive you crazy if you don't have a strong frame of reference.
So
But-
why fall into their trap, though, Gideon?
well, knowledge of self, lack of knowledge of self allows them to give you these tools that they bring it in here, they allow it, but then they criminalize it because they know that they can put our children in jail. Like in Fulton County, 97% of the people in jail are for what's called a victimless crime. Somebody smoking something that's gonna
86%, right,
not
are
hurting
non-violent
anybody.
in their drug offenses. Right, I agree. After the draconian Rockefeller laws came out, there's no doubt that the overflow of flux of prisons was caused by drugs, and those drugs are marijuana.
And it's been a plan that's been in place since the 50s.
But why we fall into the plan? I guess that's my issue I have. Like, I was a contributor and I was a partaker. I accept my responsibility and my role for being involved in that. Particularly when somebody can openly say, they brought it here, they brought the guns, they brought the drugs and stuff, and then you knowingly get involved in something that you know this trap is in place, and you knowingly do it. Well, you're a fool. So I can say I was a fool, because when I look at what marijuana does, like I said, okay, it's a natural plant. We can say it's natural.
But so is opium.
But when you put another chemical, add something else to it, which makes the effects worse, then why you can't try to justify using something, or particularly, and this is my issue I have with it. You talking about people in the working environment. Why would you legalize something when you know in a working environment it's gonna slow you down, throw your agility off, and affect you in all these different ways? I've worked with people. When I first got out of prison, I had a job working for a moving company, and the crazy thing about it was my supervisor allowed one of the guys that worked with me to smoke marijuana. He knew he came to work high. We've taken armoires up and down steps, and this fool is tearing machines up, dropping furniture. We got to do insurance. We got to do accident reports all week because one is drunk, one drinks alcohol, and one comes to work high. I couldn't work in that type of environment because I'm thinking, why would I work with somebody like this? That he basically has an addiction he cannot control. He ain't even got enough sense to say, okay, I can wait till I get off work to do this, what I enjoy doing, if that's something you love to do on your leisure. But when you come into work, that's an addiction, and that's a problem because now you're affecting, not only you can put yourself at risk, you're putting me at risk.
Exactly.
You know, and so that's the problem I have with people saying legalize it. Why you gonna give somebody the green light to go into a working environment and put somebody else in jeopardy or drive a vehicle knowing that it's gonna throw you off and you can have wrecks and do stuff like that? That just don't make sense to me. And I can say that because I've been high and I know how it affects me. I'm praying that I make it to my destination. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being realistic. And that's how I approach things. I deal with things from a realistic perspective. And that was one of the things that made me stop doing it because I said, I'm letting this substance control me. Well, I feel like I gotta borrow some money to get it, or when I'm on it, it's throwing me off. I'm lazy. I'm chilling. I don't want to do nothing. You know, man, just I'm eating excessively. You know what I'm saying? Gaining weight. So it's so many different things so many different ways it's affecting me. I can't justify using something like that.
Well, the biggest barometer, because I know you got homies, and we all got homies that got out of prison and said, man, I'm not going back to prison.
Right.
And I can vouch for myself that all my homies that went back, they didn't commit new crimes. They had to smoke that. They couldn't. They said in their mind, I don't want to go back to prison, but then they smoked that joint. So it's like,
knowing you got 10 years on paper. That's what I'm saying.
Right, you got 10 years.
You got 10 years on paper. And you know your parole officer saying, if you get a dirty urine, you're going back to prison.
Right, straight up.
I did 11 and a half years, man. Ain't no way in the world I'm going back. I'm not gonna put myself in a position to go back to that environment. So for me to know somebody did 5 years, 7 years, and you got 10 years left on paper, and you're gonna take them type of risks, that means you're addicted. You're addicted to a substance that controls you. That's an addiction. When you feel like you can't go without something, and you having hot flashes and you trying to figure out how you gonna get some money, even to a point where you're willing to commit a crime to get this drug, that's a problem.
Wow.
770-559-2999. Y'all get some of this. Gideon, look like you wanted to.
Yeah, my brother, because...
Now, Gideon, how do you justify the high rate of recidivism rate, 86% returning back? I mean, because a lot of these brothers say, man, I don't want to go back, and then they...
It's called institutionalization. That's really what... Well, no, that's a reality. There are some people, having been in an environment for such a period of time, become acclimated to that environment, and they've been in so long.
So you're saying 86% of those people want to go back?
Well, see, this brother was strong enough to have
willpower.
Well, he had family outside that once he came outside, they helped to bring him back into this cell block called America. Now, you still in prison. It's just a different kind of prison.
Right.
Let me just say, because he said, well, why would you do this? The issue of the DeKalb County School Board.
Right.
These people right now are under investigation because they claim that they've misused money. Now, one of the talk show hosts on WAOK, Mo, as you know, was saying, well, why would these people just do the right thing? All you got to do is, the white man makes laws that he know you can't keep. And in these laws, there are certain traps that they lay that they themselves, because they're in their own good old boy network, will lie, cheat, they'll help each other, give money under the table. But as soon as we do any one of a myriad of things, they come down on us. So Mo was saying, well, why don't you just do the same thing my brother said? Why don't you just do the right thing?
No, I don't think it's the same thing because, I mean, you got to look at, we call ourselves revolutionaries brothers, right?
We are.
Okay, and we look at ourselves as being behind enemy lines at war, right?
Absolutely.
So why would you slip and smoke some marijuana?
Because on the flip side, they're telling you you're free. On the flip
No, because
side,
if we
they're
revolutionaries, we
wait a
don't
minute
believe
now.
that. Okay.
Remember the congresswoman in the 80s that told you that this American government, remember Iran-Contra, Ollie North,
Right.
where they are purposely infiltrating our communities with drugs? It
Well,
is a method of white supremacy
Okay.
to infuse our community.
Right. So what I'm saying,
With
you
propaganda and
got
drugs.
two types of mindset. Either the white man is the devil, or he's our friend. So you got black people that think like Mo. She thinks that the system and the white supremacy.
great.
Right. So we can understand that mentality.
Right.
So you know what, Mo, don't you slip up.
Right.
But however, you know what I'm saying, black son, I'm revolutionary. So you're not gonna catch no weed on me.
They ain't gonna
You're
catch
not
no
gonna-
weed
you're
on
not
me,
gonna- you're not gonna
but they
catch
could
it.
make a law because of dreadlocks. They already
Oh,
have.
then we gonna have revolution.
Okay.
Then we gonna
Oh,
go
now
because
see,
that's natural.
Now we
That comes
got
at-
you.
Hey,
No longer can you come to work here wearing dreadlocks. Isn't that what your corporate?
Hey.
You need to look like my brother.
I'll be like the Mau Mau
Well,
in
there
Kenya.
you go then.
I'll be like the Mau Mau in Kenya. You know
Go
what I'm
ahead,
saying?
go
Go
ahead,
ahead, Dave.
Wiseman.
Hey, we're gonna have to cut his dreadlocks off.
You feel me? Oh no, not my dreads.
No, but I'm saying that's something that's something I can say
The
that.
dreads of the weed.
Hold on.
Hey,
I
let the weed go there with the dreads.
I don't know.
I
man.
think that's-
I'm just like I feel like, you know, once I guess because I've been a part of that environment. I mean, I came up in that environment and lived that lifestyle. I started banging when I was 15. So I seen, you know, I went through all that, and so for me to, you know, come into the system at 15, basically, and see that it's a trap, you know, going from juvenile to YDC to jail to prison, and then me, like I said, you know, sitting down and getting a chance to really look at my life that time I was incarcerated. I said, okay, I see the traps. So it's like once you know these traps in place, and you still try to go through them, and I guess that's what Mo's saying. She's saying, you know, okay, y'all already know what's out here. Y'all know what they trying to do. Why you still following to that? Why do you still, you know? And so then it's not a thing of making excuses, because, you know, you already know what's in place. If certain things being put in place for you to fall, and you consciously know it, you can't make excuses. You want to see? It's a difference when somebody is ignorant and they don't know about laws, or they don't know about the things that's in place, and then they, you know what I'm saying, they do it. Because they made them, you know, until they get to a point where they get that knowledge and that insight about that thing, then they can't say I didn't know. But once you know,
Hold on, Art.
That's the key right there.
They tell you straight up when you're on probation.
exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
You
saying.
go in urine, you going back.
So you
Straight up,
can't.
they tell everybody that. off
Your
the bat.
excuse can't be, well, the white man put these traps in place.
Yeah.
They just told you, fool, if you come up with some dirty urine, your ass going back to prison. I'm sorry, I mean to cuss, but I'm just saying. but you're going back to prison. So why? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Why would you put yourself in that position? You can't make excuses because you already know.
Dave?
That's what I love about what Art was just got to saying right there, because, you know, Art, like he spoke about, he said he had so many years down on paper. He did that. He understood the game. He understood the trap. While he was there, it's a conscious mind has to come in and understand the set that's in front of him, because a set is a trap. So you got to use your mind to get past the set so you can get over to a state of mind to look back and bring back others. You spoke about our homies. I had the same homies, same thing too, in Oakland. Then did years over in San Quentin, come out, they want to celebrate, they light up that joint, probation officers there the next 2 days.
Right.
They right back. See, the thing was, they didn't view the set. Their state of mind wasn't ready. Art's state of mind is ready. He spoke about his coworker, smoking weed. He spoke about his coworker drinking. His thing is, why would you endanger me like that? Put myself in danger with you. Someone put you in danger, that's a mindset that recognizes something that's going on.
Hold on,
Now,
Dave,
there's so many of us would be like those calves that would go off the
Dave,
cliff.
come on. I ain't gonna let you slide like that.
Dang.
You from the hood, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Oakland, California.
bro, you know the conversation, whether it be with the set, with the homies, or in prison, it be the same thing, man. You know my homie, man. Homie got popped, man. He came with dirty urine.
Yeah.
That's the conversation.
Exactly.
Constantly.
Right.
For years and years and years. They be in the joint.
Okay.
That be in the jails, that be in them streets.
Okay.
Homie so-and-so got popped, man, dirty urine. That's, I mean, come on, man.
Here we go again. You know the trap.
You know
if
the trap.
tricker done told you the trick, you foul up one time, you going back. He done told you.
Right.
Now, what are you not getting by the instructions? And by you not following that instructions, what are you not going to get later on down the line if you ain't changed the mindset? This man changed his mindset.
Because he saw the traps.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So we can sit here all day and say the homies here and there. Until you recognize the game, you're going to always get caught in the set. The matrix.
Oh, go ahead, Gideon, because I had a comment on that.
Well, I mean, it's live conversation. It's excellent interchange. This is the issue. There are two elements here.
Okay.
First of all, it's environment. If you come out of prison and go back to the same block that you came from when you left prison, you're going to be faced with the same challenges, the same homies that's doing the same thing. That's why I try to tell my children, when you grow up to a certain age, leave home, get away, go out and learn. I have one son that had the courage to do it, another that didn't. So he has fallen sometimes into the same trap over and over again because he's dealing with the same people. The next thing, they're unseen. When you talk about why would a person do a certain thing, because you know that there are traps out there. Well, in his mind, once he goes back to, see, there used to be halfway houses that you go to that before you actually went home, you went to this place, and that helped to give you further reassurance of who you are, help to prepare you for going out. If you go out and you ain't got a job, they give you $25 and you left, and then you go back to the same hood, what do you have? You don't know anybody. You got $25 you already done spent, and now you got to go and look at your old lady, or who used to be your old lady, and you got to look at your set of circumstances, what's happened to you in jail, because it changes you a lot from that environment, and then you come back to the same block, and you tend to do some of the same things.
Because
it's still
you got
a choice.
It's still a choice.
That's a choice, though. Because, I mean, and this is not me kind of promote or put myself on a certain level. I'm probably one of the most notorious people to come out of Atlanta. Real talk. And I mean, I made a conscious choice that wasn't the environment I wanted to spend the rest of my life in. So I made a decision. Because I had a son. My son was 3.5 years old when I went to prison. He was 15 when I got out. I made a decision right then. This ain't for me. And I did time with a lot of dudes that were trying to figure out how to become a better criminal. They didn't plan. They didn't try to, they just went through day to day just acting like they didn't see themselves being outside of that position. I always said, I'm not going to leave here the same dude I came in. And again, that go back to choice, because I used to talk with a lot of young brothers, and I said, because they see me reading and me trying to get, because I came out with a plan.
That's right.
I came out with a plan.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? My wife can confirm that. And even though I kind of detoured from the plan as far as like some things I did, I still had an idea of what I wanted to do. And one thing that was I was not finna get into dealing with these fools that didn't come see me, didn't write me, or I couldn't call while I was in prison. But then again, I was put in that same situation where I got one of my homeboys that came to see me. You know, he was making a little money. Instead of giving me money to get on my feet, you know what he did? He pulled up, popped his trunk, and had 3 kilos in the trunk. So, fool, you're trying to send me back to the prison system. You don't want to see me do better. But see, a lot of times, these guys, when they get out, they go back to the same environment because that's a choice. You know what I'm saying? You got to, this is what I stress to these kids when I work with these kids. People be like, Art, you ain't worried about nothing and worried about how people look at you, these gang members. I don't care.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't care, because my last 4 years of prison, you know what I seen? A bunch of young brothers, 17, 18, and 19 years old, coming into a prison environment while I'm in my mid-30s. 20 years. 50 years, life in 15. You 19 with life in 15. He will never see society as a free man again. Never experienced that.
That's right.
So at some place, in some point in time, there has to be a degree of accountability where we need to step up and say, hey, we got to take responsibility for our actions. Right. Stop making excuses.
We can't be slipping.
You know what I'm saying? You can't keep using this. Okay, my mama wasn't there. I don't know my daddy. I came up like that. That was my excuse for justifying me all those years committing crime and doing everything I do. I use all those things as excuses and crutches to kind of justify me committing crime. And I just think we had to, you know, and I have this with all kind of brothers that come out of pen, and even my homeboys I still communicate in the penitentiary. When you get out here, have it together. That's because, you know, all you're doing is setting yourself up to go back in. And, you know, we just got to get to a place, man, where we got to stop trying to justify stuff, man. You know, we already know these traps. We know marijuana is a trap.
It is.
It's a trap.
Corporate America is a trap. Drinking is a trap.
Yeah, but
dealing with whoring around is a trap.
But that trap is hurting us more than alcohol,
anything, right?
And whoring, dealing with whores or whatever. I mean, I'm just saying, you know,
marijuana numbers are there, right?
Yeah, particularly when you're talking about the recidivism and them returning to prison. That's what we're dealing with. The reality about how they keep returning into this environment, this big prison environment that's making uncountable amounts of money. And they've been taken from their families. It's destroying our community. That's the realities we're dealing with. Not all this other stuff about we can't change everything that's going on in corporate America, but we can do
stop the blunts.
Is stop that. You know, and educate these brothers, these women about what's going on, and get them to really look at how that's affecting their lives.
And that's 86%. That's a large chunk that you take out because the Rockefeller laws are designed. I mean, they say war on drugs. Man, that's a war on black people, straight up. So you gotta stop because people don't just start shooting up heroin or just snorting cocaine. They start with marijuana. That's a known fact. So man, let's. I mean, come on, we're gonna be warriors. We're gonna be revolutionary. Then man, come on, let's be about it. That's all I'm saying, man.
No, I totally agree. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh. No, yeah, I agree with him, and I agree with Art, and I agree with what you just got to say in Blackson. And you know, me growing up in the Bay Area and out there, and me growing up in Oakland, California, and being a block around from Huey Newton's house, seeing him coming out the house or whatever, and seeing how the Black Panthers was organizing, and seeing how my brothers was doing in that type of movement. And I was a little buck at that time, but one thing I understood is they always showed us the traps.
Right.
They always spoke about the traps, and we were educated about when we were going outside and playing, if the policemen look at you a certain way, how to protect yourself. If your sister was walking across the street, somebody was disrespecting, what would you do? What I'm seeing now is, like my brother said, you know, you go out there and educate. We need more brothers to get out there and revolutionize and to educate because it is so simple. There's a valley of temptation telling you to come this way. If it be marijuana, cocaine, my brother just got through saying whoring yourself around, it doesn't matter. Understand the scheme. And it's not so many people speaking about the scheme. Now, I spoke on the other show that we had that one of my friends is Asian and one is Hispanic. And I go to their homes and I see how they do their money. They speak about the scheme. Mm-hmm. The Hispanics will say, look, we can't speak English as well. They might come and pick us up, but this is what we do. We're going to take this money and we're going to put it over here for bail money. They're already in prep mode. Yeah. They're preparing. Asians are saying, look, we're not going to put the money in the bank. We're going to put our money here. We're going to put the guns over here in case somebody comes in and do home invasion. People are preparing. But when I look at us, we talk. Mm-hmm. There's only a very few that's getting out there doing something with action. So when, like my brother said, when he came out, his whole mindset was a choice. That is correct. Right. But when our brothers and sisters who go into the system comes up out, if the mindset, because the mindset controls everything you do. If you got to go to the bathroom, your mindset tell you, go to the toilet. I'm hungry. The mindset, you get the message here and you move with action. So when these people come up out of prison, they come up out of the attraction that was their inmate. They see it outside in the homeboys. haven't changed their attraction. They haven't understood my attraction got me here.
Right.
My attraction put me in here with my twin.
Right.
We've been smoking weed or what have you. We done robbed banks, we done did everything. So when I get out, if my attraction hasn't changed for my brother and I step out in the world with my $25 and I step out in the world, over here, I'm greeted with the attraction that got me in.
Right.
So there's a mindset that has to go in and change that from the get. He made the choice. He said it clearly. I made the choice because, hey, you came up on here and trying to open up the trunk, you got 3 kilos. At that time, he had a choice to say, you know what, to go back to the old way, it's time to get the money on. It's time to get my hustle. But he saw better for his life because he knew the trap.
You know, just like that, I think it was the Awak Indians. If they would have saw that a couple of blankets killed some of their people, they wouldn't accept those blankets.
Exactly.
So we don't see the smallpox now, but trust and believe that marijuana has smallpox in it, metaphorically speaking.
Right.
That smallpox is prison.
Well, and literally speaking, and this is the other thing, we do more than just talk. We are talking now, but
Right.
what we as a collective are doing are hopefully opening the minds and consciousness of the viewers so that they individually can go out and make change. The other element is when we talk about what we're doing as a people in prison, we have to use that as a metaphor of what's also happening outside of the prison facility.
Right.
And that is, in America, we're under attack. See, this is
I
the
agree.
thing. When we come out, we say, well, you know, I talk to young people now and so forth. But guess what? You're mimicking, you have the name of your oppressor. You use the clothes of your oppressor. You have all
Smoke the weed of your oppressor.
You smoke the weed. You have the holidays. You worship the God of your oppressor. Even though you're bringing the children to a mind of consciousness of that, well, there are traps out there for you. You're saying avoid those traps, but you're not telling them the larger trap is the American system itself. So if we as a collective began to fight against the, not vote for
But
the
hold on,
oppressor.
get in. I
Not-
keep asking the Hebrew Israelites, the Christians, and I keep asking her, what better system do you have in place? Because every time I talk to y'all talk about a theocratic system. And I'm telling you, if any type of theocratic system is set up, I'm setting up to do the coup d'etat. Because I'm not going to have no theocratic government. Because like I said, I'm going to have my buddy Ahmed come on, and he'll tell you, they have theocratic governments over in Saudi Arabia, and they can accuse you with blasphemy. And they will sentence you to death. That's some serious stuff. And in the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah, it's in line with that. So theocracies are dangerous. So right now, the best thing going, and I challenge anybody to challenge me on this, democracy is the best thing going. So until we come up with a better system, come on, really.
Well, they're better. Muammar Gaddafi has a better system.
But they
In Cuba, there's a better system.
So socialism, right.
There are better systems. It's the fact is you've been cut off from knowledge of self. I don't disagree with you about America, and there are some images or superficialities of a positive system. But if it's corrupting the children, if it's incarcerating the vast majority of the poor, and this is the last thing, they're criminalizing the poor, so it's not going to take marijuana to put you in jail. Just being poor is going to put you in jail.
They real hard on marijuana. You know what I'm saying? Cuba. They real China. You know what I'm saying? All those communist socialist countries. Man, Mao Zedong, he wiped out any addicts, man, they were done for. So next to Amsterdam, this is the most lax country, even though the penalty is prison with the drug laws. But you go over to Saudi Arabia, go to Syria, go to those countries, you're talking about you want to smoke some weed. Really?
Well, that's why they keep them away from that trap. But what I'm saying to you, in this country, just being a part of the Americans, being poor, they're going to put you in jail.
I mean, come on, Gideon.
They're already doing it. That's what these sweeping cuts in the government are already doing.
They have to put certain traps in.
So you support white supremacy?
I support my brothers getting off of marijuana by any means necessary. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe when we get our brothers off our marijuana, we will have more Malcolm X's. We will have more Kwame Torres. You know what I'm saying? Because when we smoke the weed, we just get too lax and too comfortable in the system of white supremacy.
Well, I guess this is my question. When you look at when you were a young man and how your community and the people were more in tune with each other. They were more. I'm gonna use this example. When I was 7 years old, I could go over my friend's house and spend the night, or one of my friends will get a father or mother will get all us together and take us to the skating rink or take us to the movies. And if I did something down the street and did something, they'll call my grandma and say, "Hey, Arthur just broke out this window." She'll say, "Whoop his tail and send him home to me." I get another whooping. I seen the transition when drugs came into play. We feel weak to that trap. I seen the transition when I was 15, when there was a disassociation each other, and now it's we don't have the concept or the mindset of it takes a village to raise a child. It's more like I'm gonna get mine, you get yours. To where it's like, me and my homeboy sitting on the wall, we getting paying an adult male to go buy us some beer.
Right.
And then we, and when somebody come through our neighborhood that's supposed to be there, the adults are cheering us on to jump on them and assault them and do something to them. See, so that's an issue. So, at some point, I'm just saying we got to say we part of the problem because we know these things exist and we don't try to change the situation. I'm not finna keep saying, okay, white supremacy. Yeah, there is white supremacy and stuff like that. But at some point in time, we gotta set accountability for what's going on because we already know what's been put before us, and we still fall into them traps.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not in disagreement with you. None of the things you're saying, but what I'm saying at some point in time, there has to be some degree of accountability from us to say we need to change that. Of us falling into them traps,
And
when we know they're there.
I agree with Art on that because with the accountability is this. Once you make a change and you stick on accountability, watch the laws change to your ability.
Okay.
But once you do not do that and you follow the same type of thing that you've been following for years, there's no use to putting anything up for you because you have not learned until you change and make in a way of saying, oh, you're doing different. Now you get counties, cities, and governments to make laws against your accountability because you're doing something different.
Okay, this is what I gotta say about white supremacy. Let's just say I'm a black nationalist and I don't trust no white man. So that means somebody black has to tell me that weed is natural, that weed is of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Because if I believe that the white man is the devil and he says that the weed is natural, so I'm not gonna listen to him. So Gideon, what form of white supremacy is that?
Well, it's the same form that they've used against us. The white man is the one that's bringing the weed in. We can't grow it.
Right.
They bring it in. They bring the cocaine in. They bring out, see what it is. They use us against us. Obviously, he mentioned, and that's what they say about the politicians. Oh, we need to hold them more accountable.
Right.
Has that helped anything? Has accountability helped our status in this country? Has more education, more educated Negroes helped our status in this country? More people going to church, has that helped our families?
Well,
it hasn't done diddly squat.
Gideon has dreadheads. Me and you got a responsibility because it took a dreadhead to start smoking weed. Bob Marley, Peter Tosh. It's going to take a dreadhead to get us out of that. Do you understand that?
What my brother is saying, what you're saying about that being a gateway to the prison industrial. I've smoked. I've never been in jail for smoking.
Right.
I've smoked. I've always been an athlete. I don't know if you've seen the movie with Denzel Washington called Flight Time. Right. This guy was drunk on cocaine. There are some people who operate better high. You don't want to believe it? That's just the reality.
That doesn't help our strategy.
It doesn't
help our strategy. If we are warriors, that does not help us. Oh, weed makes me more smarter. Weed makes me drive more better, and that doesn't help us. That perpetuates a false sense of that creates a Jesse Jackson mentality, Junior mentality. Like, oh, I see the white people skimming money off the top. I can do it too. No. So what I'm saying, if a person is lucky enough to do that on the weed, okay, that's all fine. But I'm a black male in the United States of America. You know what I'm saying? I've been on film waving the red, black, and green. So guess what? I'm already a target. So why would I add that extra stress?
And you've already been programmed. You're using a white leprechaun concept called luck with the four-leaf
No,
clover
I'm
that
just
you've been
hypothetically
indoctrinated with by your white oppressor. All I'm saying to you, there are some things that are propagandized and programmed into us from the time we come out of the womb.
Well, what I'm saying about that white oppressor, they got their white media and they put the legalization of weed out there nationwide.
Exactly.
So it gives a false sense of security in the minds of black men, and that's a setup. That's smallpox in the blanket. So
It is.
we are going, Unc's going to be here next week, but we're going to continue this conversation.
Yeah,
Again, Art, Dave,
Yeah.
Gideon, we got this is on
Dude,
fire,
it's
man.
powerful. And they do need to stop. Marijuana is
And
not mandatory.
I'm sure the Paraguay Indians had this conversation about the blankets.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. We out.
We out. Peace.
That's it.